Now welcome guys to this epic tutorial on how we are going to use Excel and how you can become a master in just 10 minutes. The moment you open Excel, this is what you get. And let me just maximize that so that you can see. And the first option is creating a blank workbook, or you can look at all these templates and see which one can favor you. I'll choose this one. There we go. We have our first template. No, I don't want to keep this. It's okay like that. So the moment you open your first Excel workbook, this is what you get. Now it's just like a grid of so many cells, and each of these tiny boxes are called cells, and they're characterized by the rows and columns. And for you to know which cell you are at, you can simply look at this point here and you'll see the name of that cell beginning with an alphabet. Then we have a number. So this is C5. I can look at cell A3. You can navigate to any cell, and there you go. You can do whatever you like to input, maybe your data there. Secondly, down here, because this is a workbook, down here we have sheets. Now right now currently we are on sheet 1, and we can change this by either double clicking on it or right clicking on it and then choosing rename. So whichever works for you, fine. So I'll rename this to name. Let me just call it contacts, and if I can spell it right, contacts. And you can add more sheets by clicking on this plus sign like that, and you can also right click and delete these sheets just like that. So it depends on the number of sheets you need. You can create them and you can delete those ones that you don't need. Next, we can now enter our data in here, and then we are going to see how we can manipulate our data. So I want to assume that maybe this is just some maybe data concerning maybe a school or something like that. So let me just change this sheet name to something else. I'll rename that to like results. Now from there, these results are going to have the name, and then from the name you can have something like maybe maths, and then you can have like physics. Let me add the chemistry like that. Can even add here something that's a little bit longer. Let me say social science. And as you can see, social science overlaps into the next column, and what you can do is simply come here to the border between these two columns. You can now, as you can see, the moment you move your pointer there, it changes. Then you can simply double click or can drag, so whichever you like. I like double clicking because it will auto resize. So now that one can fit in there. Similarly, if I enter here a name like Jando, as you can see a little bit of, and if I can spell it right, Jando, that one fits. But if I try something else like Elizabeth Mahmoud, it doesn't fit. So to make sure that it fits, just do the same, double click, and there we go, it auto fits. Now to make this headers bold, that one is very easy, like that, and then we are done. Another thing is that sometimes you may want to add another column. Maybe I want to add another subject between C and D. So what you just do is move that pointer to D, right click and insert, and then it will insert just behind that. So to delete that, right click on that letter, click delete, and now chemistry is in D. But if I right click on chemistry and insert, it will insert me a column just behind that D. Let me add here biology, for example. There we go. and we have it in there. Now let me just add another one last person. Let me call this one Paul Lennon, and that is it, how we can be adding data into a table. Sometimes you may want to hide most of this. Maybe you only want to see math and social science, you don't want to see physics, biology, and chemistry. So what you do, just highlight all of them, right click, then choose hide, and then you see it will be hidden. Now when it is hidden, the column, this column border between B and F will be a little bit thicker than a normal. As you can see, it's a little bit thinner, and here it's thicker, indicating that we have some hidden columns in between. So if you just highlight and then choose unhide, and you're going to see that. And you can do that, by the way, with even rows. So if I come to this rows, I want to hide these names, just do like that, then click on hide, and there we go. As you can see, also the border between number 1 and 5 is a little bit thicker, and therefore it means we have some hidden values there. So if you right click and then choose unhide, and then you're going to see them that way. That is how you can do that. Sometimes you may also want to scroll, and as you can see, if you scroll very far away, you're going to lose your title, your headers. And maybe that's something that you'd like to do. So you maybe want to make sure that it sticks. So what you should do is just come to that column, that row, sorry, then click there. Then once all of it is highlighted like that, you can freeze it. Now by right clicking and looking for freeze, as you can see, it's not here, but if you go to view and then look at here, we have freeze pens, and then choose freeze top row, and there we go, our top row is frozen now. Even if we keep scrolling down our document, the top row will be frozen. You can do even that. You can do the same with freezing the first column like that, so that even if you scroll horizontally like that, then you can see that the first column, it does not move, it is frozen. It is frozen, and you can also see that by this line looks a little bit darker than these other lines. If you're very careful, you're going to see that this line is a little bit darker. Next, just let me put here some data very fast, and I can choose to make sure that everybody that Jando gets 12 everywhere by moving my cursor to this tiny little box here at the end of this cell, and then just dragging like that. Now the moment Excel finds out that there is a sequence or series anywhere, it will try to fill everywhere like that. So that is it. You can apply that anywhere, anytime. Let me feed that with some little bit of different data so that it looks a little bit random. Maybe these are the marks, so let me quickly do that. There we go, we are done. And something else that maybe I haven't talked about, like in here, sometimes you may want to show that maybe there are fee balances. Let me just put here something like fee balance. Let me add that 12,000, maybe 12,300, and maybe 300, something like that. And then you'd like to show the currency. Now to do that, just right click, select that column first, right click, and then look at format cells. On format cells, you'll see this dialog box, and then on the first tab, which is number, choose the format, which is currency, and then you can choose the symbol for your currency here. I would want it to be still US dollars, and then you can change the decimal places you'd like. Mostly with currency we have 2 decimal figures, and then there we go. You can choose here a section which you think best suits for you. So like I think everything is fine, then just click OK, and now as you can see we have US dollars here. If you input this manually, then during calculations it's going to pose a problem. We can also work on functions, and if you want to add or get the average or anything about it, it's just very simple. Like for example, I can say this is the total, and then from this total I can say equals to, because for you to use a function in Excel you must begin with an equal sign, maybe sum. I want to use this function called sum, and I want to pass in all this. so that it sums everything for me. There we go, we have our sum. And with Excel, because it's smart, I want to drag this down so that it does everything for what I need also for everybody, and that is it. We have the sum for everybody. So I want to insert more columns here, and now I want to carry out the average. For example, I want to carry out the average, and with equal sign I can look for this function called average and just pass in everything that I need. Now for you to be using this formula without any problem, just look at the parentheses, just look at the formula build up the way it is. If you have, for example, if you need to calculate the average, you'll have to pass in the number, a number, and then a list of numbers. If you'd like the second number, then this ellipsis, meaning you can pass in as many numbers as you'd like. So I want to pass in all these numbers, then it should find me the average. I'll exclude the total because I don't want it to be part of average calculation, just like that. And then I can now drag it down like that, and then there we go, we have the averages for that. You can work out the minimum, mean, by saying equals to minimum, and then just click on that, choose whatever minimum you want. Now I want the minimum of all these values. It's 12 is the minimum. Do that for everybody. You can also try maximum value, and as you guessed it, this one equals to max. So I'll simply delete that, then input max, and there we go. I have the max of, I want to get the maximum value for this, excluding the total. Hit enter, there we get the maximum for this guy is 56, and then for this guy is 98, and then 90 for this other guy. Lastly, I'd like us to talk about something else, which is ranking. So let us say we want to get their positions. Just I position, and then we want to rank all these guys. We want to find the first one to the last one. So what you do here is so simple. Let's say equals to rank, and we have two functions. This rank is deprecated, means it's no longer being used. So you'll choose one of these, either rank average or rank equation. They work differently. So the easiest one that you are going to use today is this rank.eq. So choose that, and then inside here we want to pass whatever we want to rank. So I want to rank these totals, so I want to rank this G2, and then comma, I'm just following whatever this one requires me to do. I'm going to input the reference. So the reference, I'll have to input all this, but now I'm going to change it a little bit. So I'll just try to highlight it like that. But then for references, if I do this, it's going to be assumed as the range, but I want it as to be as a reference. So what do you do if you want it to be a reference? Just add dollar signs like that, and then it becomes a reference. If you add dollar signs, it is no longer a range but a reference. Then lastly, the order. Now order 0 is descending, means the total will be descending while the positioning will be ascending, or ascending, which means the totals will be ascending while the position normally ascends. So I'll choose descending so that we begin with the highest. So like that, hit enter, that is position 3, basing on the totals. Drag down, and Excel will rank that for us. So that is it, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and come again. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Have a good time.